All right, so we've all gotten pretty used to our AI coding assistants, right? But what if they could do more? A lot more. What if they could actually be a real autonomous junior developer on your team? Well, that's exactly the idea we're digging into today. Seriously, just think about that for a second. What if your AI didn't just pop up with a suggestion for the next line of code, but could actually write, debug, and maybe even deploy code for you? What if it could open pull requests, run security scans, and generate documentation all by itself? It sounds like a massive leap, and that's precisely what we're exploring. To really wrap our heads around this, we first need to draw a line in the sand between the tools we use today and where this whole thing is going. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how AI fits into our workflow. And this comparison just nails the difference. The tools we're familiar with, they're totally reactive. You type, they suggest. They're looking at things line by line, you know? But this next step is all about being proactive. It doesn't just suggest, it actually executes complex multi-step tasks because it gets the big picture. It understands the entire code base, not just the single file you have open. And that brings us to the main event. This proactive, code-base-aware AI actually has a name, and it's an awesome open-source tool from Continue.dev called the Continuous Agent. And that's the absolute key right there. This thing is designed from the ground up to be autonomous. It doesn't just hand you a little code snippet and say, here you go. It takes on a task, it figures out a plan, and then it actually carries out that plan. This phrase just captures the whole shift perfectly. We are moving away from this passive relationship with AI, where we ask a question and it gives an answer, to a really active one, where the AI becomes this deeply integrated part of our entire development and automation pipeline. So, the big question is, how does it do all this without, going rogue and rewriting your entire app? Well, it all comes down to a really clever structured workflow that keeps you in the driver's seat the entire time. Let's break that down. So it operates in 3 distinct modes. First up, you've got chat mode. This is your sandbox, your safe space to brainstorm. Nothing gets touched, nothing gets executed. Then you move into plan mode. Now the agent scans your code and comes back with a step-by-step plan. But it's still totally read-only. And finally, only after you give it the green light, it kicks into agent mode and actually executes that plan. It's just a brilliant way to balance all that power with safety. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? That final step is execution. This isn't just some chatbot that's good at understanding code. It's a tool that can actively write, edit, and run code right there in your environment. But with that much power, you've got to talk about safety. The agent has a set of predefined tools it can use, things like reading a file or running a terminal command. And by default, it has to ask for your permission before it uses any of them. Now, you can configure it to auto-approve safe stuff like formatting code or running tests. It puts the control exactly where it should be, with you, the developer. Okay, theory is great, but how does this actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at where you can actually put this thing to work. And the flexibility here, it's honestly really impressive. I mean, you can run it pretty much anywhere you do your work, right inside your IDE, whether that's VS Code or JetBrains, as a command line tool in your terminal. Or, and this one's a really big deal, you can bake it right into your CI/CD pipeline with something like GitHub Actions. You can even have it running as a background agent, just waiting to respond to events automatically. So what does that unlock in practice? Well, think about it. It can spin up all your boilerplate code, making sure it follows your team's specific patterns. It can hunt down and fix those annoying little bugs, the simple null pointers. It could even run a security scan and then try to patch the vulnerabilities it finds. This could literally wipe out entire categories of tedious work, freeing you up for the hard stuff, like architecture. This is automation for real. And because it's open source, you can really get under the hood and customize it. You can plug in whatever LLM you want, whether it's from OpenAI, Gemini, or even a local model you're running through Ullama. You can teach it your team's specific coding standards and give it deep context about your project with simple commands. That level of control is an absolute game changer. So let's zoom out for a second. What does all this actually mean for the future of building software? This isn't just another tool. It feels like a whole new way of working. I love this quote because it just so perfectly captures the idea. This is not about replacing developers. It's about augmenting us with an agent that can handle all the repetitive, time-sucking tasks, freeing up human developers to focus on the big picture stuff like architecture and complex problem solving. The goal here isn't replacement. It's all about collaboration. We are moving into a new era where these AI agents are going to be our partners, deeply woven into every single step of the development lifecycle, from the first commit all the way to deployment, working right there alongside us. And that really brings us to the final thought, doesn't it? With the right guardrails and the right permissions in place, how far would you let this automation go? Would you actually trust an AI to run your deployment pipeline or to automatically merge fixes for minor bugs? It's a huge question, and it's one I think we're all going to be answering very, very soon.